drones about 1 day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones.
We had drones being thrown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana, and it's sitting on some bureaucrat's desk, and that's real.
Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, Governor. You were saying.
We had drones in Wyoming flying over our infrastructure as well, and it's incredibly frustrating.
Welcome, everyone. You're watching UAP Truth 33. I'm John. I'm your host. Today, I got a problem, man. Seriously, man. So I see this Wall Street Journal article that states that the Pentagon ran a disinformation campaign on its own citizens about the UFO subject. And that the millions they sunk into researching this subject was all done just to mislead the public. And I just find that probably true, right? But in a different way, okay? Because I don't think you're going to make up stories about UFOs to get people looking into the skies for them, to cover up some secret advanced aviation program that you have, right? Because the last thing you would want people to do is to be looking up in the sky to try to investigate what's flying around, which is what happens when you talk about UFOs, when they brought up this subject. Now you have people doing CE5, you have people with night vision binoculars like myself, you have people actually investigating this case, this situation, I should say, this phenomena, right? And then you got the Wall Street Journal here doubling back saying, oh, it was all just a different disinformation campaign to cover up secret aviation projects. You know, and they used this example of a man who in the 80s went to a bar that was near Area 51 and gave the owners pictures of doctored photos of UFOs that weren't real to sow disinformation to cover up the F-117 and all. So here we are, right? Damn, I said one of the words YouTube doesn't like. I have to cut that out. It's a damn shame, isn't it? Whatever happened to free speech, man? But anyway, get back to what I was saying. So okay. So maybe that happened. All right, I'll give it. Okay, so yeah, so maybe that happened. But see, the whole thing with intelligence is very tricky, right? And what they'll do is they'll gas up a subject, right? And then they'll have everybody paying attention to this certain UFO case, this certain UFO whistleblower, this certain whatever. And they'll get everybody's faith in this person. And then they'll just yank the rug right out of them, from under them. Or they'll yank the rug out of whatever UFO case people are really into at the time. Or this whole disclosure movement, right? And what ends up happening is it ends up discrediting the whole subject. But I beg to differ here, man, because I just did an episode on the area school where this thing, a craft landed. These students that were age 6 or 12 interacted with beings. They described the beings as your stereotypical grays. They communicated with them telepathically, and then James Fox did the movie The Phenomenon. And these students, 20 years later, they came back as adults and were interviewed about the case, and everybody stuck to the story. Everybody said the same thing. Nobody changed the story. Nobody said, oh, we were just playing around. None of that. And it was like 62 students, And I mean, a lot of the students ran when the craft landed, but there was a group that stayed and actually approached this craft. Children, man, I think if it was adults, they would all ran. But children have this innocent curiosity about them, And thank God for that, because that case is a very compelling case. And I don't think the Wall Street Journal, and let's not forget Operation Mockingbird, okay? And Operation Mockingbird, now this was a declassified operation that our intelligence agencies was doing to control the global media, right? So you got to remember that all the mainstream media is controlled, and that's obvious. All you have to do is look at these files about a certain person that I'm not going to mention on YouTube, the guy that had the island, he had that island, and Clinton was on his plane 28 times, and he was real close with Bill Gates, and we still don't have that list. right? Don't you think that should be a huge story in the mainstream media? But it's not. So don't get it twisted. Media is controlled. It's under a tight control. Don't you ever wonder how they always come out with the same stories? Like when you watch YouTube, right? Even if you're watching YouTube channels that cover the UFO subject, I might cover Ariel School, or I might cover Wall Street Journal pumping disinformation, or, Vetted might talk about David Grush, and I might talk about Lou Elizondo one day, but we're all doing different stories. Everybody's doing their own thing. You know what I mean? You got Ashton Forbes with the MH370 case. Everybody's doing their own thing. We're not pumping a narrative. Don't you find it interesting how CNN, Fox, even CBS, MSNBC, they all pump the same stories. They might pump different viewpoints of the same story, but it's always the same story. And I'm gonna pose this to you guys. It's a distraction from what's really going on. And this has been going on for a long time. There's no way that this subject would have this met. And what about the other countries? So you're telling me that Brazil and France and Spain, they're all pumping disinformation too? They're all deceiving their publics also? I don't think so, man. I really don't think so. And this article by Wall Street Journal, which it used to be one of the most credible, media sources, I feel like they did some damage to themselves, among the people that know. Now, look, like people like my parents and, we grew up watching the same news every day. It was the same narrative getting pumped into our minds, the same stories. We didn't have the freedom of choice like we have today. So, and of course, skeptics are going to say, oh, look, the Wall Street Journal said this was a myth and that the Pentagon pumped this information and it was a big trick, and the skeptics are going to be able to say that. But who cares, man? We're going to leave them behind because we know, and I know, you know what I mean? As a matter of fact, today I'm going to post some footage and I'm going to show you what I caught with my own night vision binoculars by myself, just me and my daughter out in the yard. And not only that, I'm going to show you some other footage, and cases. So you're telling me that all these old men, just before they died, came out and said these things, right? All these old men, right? Philip Corso, Senator Harry Reid, Harold Malmgren, Jesse Michaels all these men that were like up in age, getting ready to pass, that they're going to leave their legacy, their last memory. People are going to remember them for telling a lie about UFOs and aliens. Is that what you're telling me? It's Jesse Marcel, the man that actually was at Roswell, that handled the craft that crashed, that was involved with the crash retrieval. Jesse Marcel, he came out, he did the interview in the 80s saying, yes, this happened. This was a UFO. It was not a weather balloon. It was a bona fide craft from another world. It wasn't from Earth. This is what he said, David Grush, that we recovered biologics. So you're telling me that this whole thing with all these people that have been involved with this subject for the last century have been lying? All these old men, this is their last legacy. This is what they're going to be remembered by. Pumping disinformation to their own citizens. Is that what you're telling me? Nah, man. Nope. No. And the people that know, we know. Here, I'll be right back. Watch this clip.
Looks as though the two lights are moving.
Of objects that simply appear from out of nowhere and are reported by responsible and capable pilots. Materialization and dematerialization. Nobody wanted any part of it. They said it was, just a misobservation. That was the normal way that those things were dealt with. Some of these guys that were observing these things were captains and majors and colonels in the Air Force and not disposed to misreport things on that scale. And they would fly right through it and be seen to fly right through it on radar and would encounter nothing. So here was extensive evidence of things that were immaterial and yet became material. Where they had gone when they disappeared.
Will you ask them, say, if you can hear us, will you blink in and out?
If you can hear us, just blink in and out, please. Wait, what did you say?
Say to the aliens in the sky, we love you, we welcome you.
We love you. We welcome
It blinked. It blinked. Did you see that?
you. Yeah.
It's blinking in and out. Oh my God, it's blinking in and out for you, Kai.
Ow.
Look at this footage back from 1979 during an NFL Cowboys vs. Steelers game.
You'd be my first employee. There it is. Now what is that? You keep saying, take us to your leader. I don't know.
Jesse Marcel, the man that actually was at Roswell, that handled the craft that crashed, that was involved with the crash retrieval. Jesse Marcel, he came out, he did the interview in the 80s saying, yes, this happened, this was a UFO, it was not a weather balloon, it was a bona fide craft from another world, it wasn't from Earth. This is what he said, David Grush, that we recovered biologics. So you're telling me that this whole thing, with all these people that have been involved with this subject for the last century have been lying. All these old men, this is their last legacy. This is what they're going to be remembered by. Pumping disinformation to their own citizens. Is that what you're telling me? Nah, man. Nope. No. And the people that know, we know. mean, there's some footage. There's some compelling footage. You're telling me that we have craft that can fold space-time and, can read people's minds and react to people's thoughts and can shut off the controls of a plane, show up at the rendezvous spot during the Nimitz encounter. How did the UFO know where the rendezvous spot was? But yet, this is the reports that we were given, that this thing showed up at their rendezvous spot. Now what? Were they running some kind of psyop on our own troops? Is that what you're telling me? The military was running a psyop on David Fravor and Alex Dietrich that day? You know what? They probably did. I wouldn't put it past them. Maybe they were spoofing them. But I find it hard to believe that these, they said that the UFOs were raining from the sky. The guy that was on the radar, I can't remember his name right now. It's eluding me. But he said that UFOs were literally raining from the sky. And that a submarine radar operator, or whatever, the sonar, whatever you want to call it, he said after the thing descended from 26,000 feet at a crazy, unbelievable speed, it goes into the water, and then the submarine guy says the thing was it was moving underwater at 3 times the speed of the fastest submarine known to man. Which, yeah, okay, yeah, we had technology like that in 2004, but we didn't use it in Iraq. We didn't use it in Afghanistan. We didn't use it. Wouldn't we have given this? Let Israel use it. Wouldn't we have capitalized on this technology by now? Maybe not. But I think we do have things that can mimic these craft, right? Yeah, we have secret aviation programs, and maybe they want us to stop looking at the sky. Maybe that's why the Wall Street Journal put this out, because they don't want us to be looking up anymore, because things are going down. Well, I saw a story, and it was said that the whole thing with the New Jersey drone incursions was our military was flooding the skies with these drones to drown out the orb situation, because people were seeing these crazy orbs above their homes, everywhere. And they knew it was non-human. So how can we keep this from the public? We'll flood the skies with drones, and then we'll turn around and say, well, the FAA was all approved, a month later. After Trump promised us he was going to tell us exactly what it was. After the governor of Louisiana, the governor of Wyoming, they all said that these things were above their military installations. Nuclear military installations also. Langley. Yeah, we shut down bases. This was all a big psyop on the public, right? That's Wall Street Journal's telling you. And in the footage I just showed you, they're telling you that's all bogus too, But I know my viewers are smarter than that. I don't know. If you think I'm full of it, if you think this was really just a big disinformation campaign and none of this is real, and all these things we're seeing in the sky and the things that Chris Bledsoe's able to manifest in the sky is all what? What is it? Tell me. I want to know, man. What do you guys think of this Wall Street Journal article? They're trying to tell us that it's all fake now. Huh? So this whole thing in 2017, this whole movement to disclose, right? We found out from Matthew Brown that they squashed that. And that there was a lot of pushback on this disclosure movement. And it got squashed. To the point where, after 2023, you couldn't even mention the name David Grush. Or it was like committing professional, I can't even say the word on YouTube, but you know what I'm saying? Professional, So, why? And how come anti-gravitic scientists, from Alabama, Huntsville, Rocket City, USA, right? JPL, all that. How come those scientists ended up coming unalive? One of them disappeared for years, and when she popped back up on the scene, she was immediately hit by a car and ended up passing away years later. And these whistleblowers that are coming out they're scared to death. They're afraid for their life. Why? If this was all bogus. So I'm going to leave you guys with that, man. Hit me up in the comments. Please like, share to a friend, share to 2 friends. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.